Dwindle John Dalglish, a previous senior United Nations authority and fellow benefactor of one of the world's biggest kids foundations, has been imprisoned in the wake of being discovered blameworthy of assaulting young men in Nepal. Dalglish, 60, is a native of Canada who established Street Kids International, which later turned into the eminent Save the Children philanthropy. He has been venturing to the far corners of the planet working with youngsters throughout the previous 2 decades. Anyway, the prominent UN Council stream-set way of life seems to have arrived at a sudden end. The Central Investigation Bureau of Nepal Police, CIB, disclosed to Global News that Dalglish is carefully guarded and is being examined for sexual misuse. Bureau Pushkar Karki, executive of the CIB, told My Republica of Nepal that Dalglish was promising to help instruct hindered youngsters and give philanthropy and openings for work to their families. Our fundamental examination has discovered that he has been focusing on kids from poor monetary foundations and explicitly mishandling them. By promising the relatives that he would teach their kids, take them abroad and furthermore give them occupations after they complete their training, he had been explicitly mishandling youngsters. Given his agent is prominent in the compassionate segment, he would effectively win the trust of the relatives and later maltreatment their youngsters. Yet, it deteriorates. Dalglish, who was as of late granted the Order of Canada by the Trudeau government, is looking as long as 15 years in jail whenever discovered liable of the present charges. Anyway, investigators have declared that Dalglish is probably going to deal with more indictments, as it is accepted the present charges against the worldwide giver speak to a hint of something larger as far as his violations against kids. Karki likewise said that Dalglish was notable for these sorts of wrongdoings in different nations, in spite of the way that he has never been arraigned. Worldwide security administrations and law authorization have been choosing to disregard the UN's top youngsters philanthropy counselor while he manhandled kids the world over. Not simply that, he may have been engaged with pedophilia in different nations also where he filled in as UN official before, Karki said. He had touched base in Nepal 3 months back. After we got data about his sexual unfortunate behavior from security offices in different nations, we had been firmly tailing him and figured out how to capture him. TFTP reports, over the most recent 2 years, 7 pedophiles have been captured in Nepal, 6 of them were not Nepal locals, and 4 were beyond 60 years old. An agent with the Canadian government declined to remark, saying just that Worldwide Affairs Canada knows about the capture of a Canadian resident in Nepal. Consular administrations are being given. Because of the arrangements of the Privacy Act, no additional data can be unveiled. In the event that Dalglish is discovered blameworthy of these charges in Nepal, he will face as long as 15 years in jail. Nonetheless, almost certainly, he will go under further doubt for different wrongdoings submitted during his long periods of being engaged with kids foundations. Dalglish is best known as the author of the Street Kids International Philanthropy and the Trails Youth Initiative Program, one of the universe's biggest youngsters foundations which is presently known as the eminent Save the Children philanthropy. He likewise worked for the United Nations in different limits during his protracted vocation. As Steamy V4 Vapid called attention to in his examination, the associations that Dalglish worked for have rushed to remove themselves from him. What's more, the online life pages related with Dalglish have all been brought down. UN Representative, Stefan Dujarric, said in an explanation that Dalglish is never again associated with any UN programs. We stand emphatically against any sexual maltreatment. Any claims should be altogether researched, Dujarric said. In 2016, Dalglish was named an individual from the Order of Canada for his endeavors to reduce youngster neediness around the world, quite by setting up and driving Street Kids International. The order has now said that if Dalglish is sentenced for a wrongdoing, he will have his title evacuated. Tragically, this kind of case is very natural, as it is regular for predators to flow towards positions where they will be viewed as watchmen or friends in need. Well-off contributors to youngsters' foundations are infamous for going after kids and utilizing their notoriety to scare their unfortunate casualties. For instance, predators, For example, Jimmy Savile and Jerry Sandusky figured out how to pull off their violations for quite a long time by utilizing this procedure.